Hello, beautiful people. This is kind of a continuation of the last video, the last one I just posted, the debate on sovereignty and source energy. Is there just one source or is there many sources? So I was spurred on by this topic by a comment I saw of a Facebook friend. She had talked about the bandwidth of source and just questioning a few things about source energy. And someone said, what if there's not one source? And that got me thinking about my perspective and what's come into my awareness lately. So it's been an interesting, I guess, 3 years. I've been studying the Bhagavad Gita through Sat Shri. I've been a Holy Fire Reiki master and Holy Fire Karuna master for the past 5 years, and then got into a body of work called Marconics. I've since then kind of just become my sovereign self. While I refer a lot to all the different genres and bodies of work that I've studied, I kind of just use them as references now and just kind of go with my own sovereign awareness. And for me, that's what sovereignty means, that I have come to a place where I super trust my own awareness and my connection to source. So what is that source? And what does someone mean when they say there's more than one source? Now, you can imagine on the thread, there was a lot of people that said there's one sovereign source, it's God, it's, but for me, that was a very interesting comment. It brought me back to my awareness around the Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, they talk about ascension, at least in the area of how Sat Shri talks about it. They talk about ascension, meaning going from Tat, Chit to Sat, and the Tat is creation, and the Chit is a creator force, and then the Sat is the source. Now, when you study this in yoga, they talk about the Sat, I think, being at like the 12th dimension or kind of a lower dimension. So that got me thinking after all my studies and then sitting in meditation that this is kind of what it looks like, right? That the universe is one big spiral, spiraling on itself as source. So there are multiple Tats, there's multiple Chits, and there's multiple Sats, which means that there's multiple creations, multiple creators, and multiple sources. And so if it's on a spiral like this, you're going to have this little combo of creation, creator, and source. And when you ascend to that, perhaps you go to the next piece of the spiral, right? Or maybe it starts out from here. I don't really know. But the idea is that perhaps there is more than one source. There's more of one source, and it's all in one source. So what if both are correct? There's one source and there's multiple sources. If the universe is constantly expanding on itself, then it's infinite. We are infinite. We are source. So if this is the universe, if this is the infinite universe of source, and it's always expanding on itself, so if it starts here, the Sat, the original source, had energies that turn into creator forces, that turned into creations and experiences for source to have. And then we expanded into source again, a broader perspective of source, that turned into a creation force and then wanted to experience itself again from that frequency that turned into creation. And that creation turns into source again. So it just keeps expanding and spiraling out and out. So from that sense, there's more than one source because it's always expanding vibrationally. So the frequency of source is always going to be expanding. So in that sense, there is more than one source because this source is vibrating and has a different frequency than the source out here on the outer rings of spiral. So there's one source that's expanding on itself that creates more sources. So where do you want to play is the question. For me, I don't know why, but for right now, I play when I tune into source and my sovereign connection to it, and it's source as me, I tune into the 144th dimension. I don't know why, it's just came into my knowing and came into my practice, and it's not the absolute, and this is where I play vibrationally, and this is where I play with source. So in the thread, everyone has their perspective, and the thing is, there's no right or wrong about it. That's the cool part. Everyone wants to say it's absolutely this way and it's absolutely this way. And I don't think we can say that. There is no right or wrong, because your experience is what you're experiencing. If you have the experience that there is one God and it's at this frequency and that's all there is, then that's your reality. That's what you are playing with. For me, I really have the awareness that there's multiple sources, and we're in this spiraling, ever expanded universe where there is a source and that there's an expanded frequency that is ever expanding. So it's ever expanding consciousness. So I think what we're doing here is debating the debatelessness of source. Let me read you some of the other comments, because I think they're so interesting where people go here. It says, the simple truth is that there are many roots that grow to the main, but there are merely point to the direction you must be, so no modality is certain, only what you know is certainty when you reach that level. That's very interesting, kind of goes with what I was just saying. Here's another one. You are assuming there is only one source. That's the comment that got me kind of going into my awareness. And then it says here, I myself have seen many different sources in my life. In astral travel and meditation, I've learned that there's not just the one source. By using a combination, it can help more so to ascend in spiritual higher through each lesson that has been learned. It's only my view, though others may be able to have a different one. So I think there is a lot on this feed that says that this is what I am experiencing, and I'm honoring that other people might be experiencing something else. So is there one source, or is there many sources? What do you know? Let me know in the comments. Okay, so when we're talking about sovereignty, perhaps we are sovereign to what we are aware of as like a one energy. I know for me, before I really became like this sovereign and trusting myself as source energy, I was reaching out here, right? And I was looking to angels and crystals and mediums, and I was just looking for anything that had information. And what I found was that, yes, that is consciousness, and there's a piece of source and everything, but what frequency of source? And for me, as I was raising my vibration, I started to realize that those were not a contribution to my frequency anymore. That frequency of consciousness was not a contribution. It was kind of making me go on this like roller coaster from hell with my frequency and moods and stuff. And it was making me really susceptible to entity action. So disembodied beings would come into my field and my body a lot as well. And so once I realized that, and realized that I had a capacity with and for entities, that's when I started to realize that it was no longer a match. I wanted to kind of raise out of that. And it was Holy Fire Reiki that actually helped me raise above that entity action. Once Holy Fire Reiki raised my vibration to a certain space, I noticed that I really didn't have any more problems with entities. Now, in Holy Fire Reiki, as a Holy Fire Reiki master, I did have the a tool to help clients release spiritual attachments, entities. But I was realizing that I really didn't have to do that on myself with Holy Fire Reiki, where Holy Fire Reiki took my frequency. So since that part of my life and since Marconics, there hasn't been a lot of entity activity. Now, there are times that you can get slimed. And that seems to be when you have kind of like a bonk in your frequency. It kind of drops down and you somehow it's like a perfect moment in time, like a falling angelic, or someone has just a low frequency, and somehow you get slimed by the low frequency. And I remember that happened, and I felt nauseous, I felt like dizzy, and I had to do a lot of clearing. I actually had to call a friend to help me clear that out. But since I know about that now, and I know what that feels like now, and I know how to create vibrational protection. I don't like using the word protection because I feel like protection kind of blocks us from possibilities of source energy. So it's not really like protection, you're putting like walls up. It's just more like you are just raising your vibration and putting kind of a light bubble around you so that you are really receiving just the source nature of yourself. So that is what brought me to really wanting to practice sovereignty. Sovereignty with the vibration that I feel most aligned with at this time, which is at the 144th dimension. Now, can I sustain that all the time? No. Am I practicing it a lot throughout my day? Yes. So this is what ascension is in my perspective, and what I came to live as ascension. Because what I'm realizing actually, guys, is that there is so many definitions and so many practices of ascension. But what I have come to know about this embodiment for this now moment for me, as Rebecca Abraxas, I found that like the ascension that I am aligned with right now is bringing and sustaining high frequencies in this infinite body. And for now, in this now moment, I feel like my sovereignty with my source frequency and bringing that into this body and being a model for that on this planet, I'm bringing a human potential. I'm evolving the human potential. So I'm not the only person with this idea. There's so many people on the planet that have come with this mission to embody source frequency at higher frequencies to this body. And our bodies, our human bodies, are ready for this. And so those of us that are living this journey, we are offering that possibility to the collective. I really feel that. So, and there's a lot of people I think that are on the same trajectory that I'm talking about. Are you? Do you feel like that's where you are playing with ascension and ascension energy to really train the body and the DNA and to really come into its superpower, to really come into its infinite beingness? We've really capped the human body from its capabilities. And what I feel like I'm doing here on the planet is coming to a point where I'm getting my body to realize its power again. And by doing that, I'm offering that to other people in the collective that feel ready for that too. So where are you on your ascension journey? I know there's different perspectives of ascension. I know in the Bhagavad Gita, they talk about this type of ascension in the body, but they also talk about leaving the body. Carolyn Meese talks about being a modern mystic and bringing source energy into the body. Marconics talks about ascension energy in a whole different way. And it's very interesting. I don't even know if I can completely explain it right. But they do talk about ascension as really like letting go of that spiritual amnesia and going forth in timeless universe to other areas. And yeah, I can't even explain it right. So you'd have to go look up a Marconics video. But for me, I kind of let that go for me at this point in the now moment. But right now, I'm just working on this body, this beautiful and infinite being, and training. We're training each other how to sustain high frequencies. So that's where we're playing. Where are you playing with your ascension journey? Let me know in the comments. What do you know about source energy? Is there one source energy, or is it an ever-expanding universe that has many source energies? And then you have to think of the question of source of what? Because there's a source of many things, right? There's a source of planets, there's source of humans, but there's sources there's sources of sources, right? There's sources of creators. And I really like this spiral idea because it makes sense to me. It makes sense that there's a source of different creators, but there's different components of what we're asking for, of what source is. So if we go beyond source, what's there? Is it nothingness? Is it just potential energy? Is it just like the I amness of just potential energy? For me, that's kind of more of what I think source is. It's just a allness of potential energy waiting for the universe to expand into. That's kind of what I see source as. And that's what I feel myself as a potential of possible frequency. And then I can take that frequency into whatever I want as source, as a creator. So, gosh, philosophizing. It's so interesting, isn't it? All right. Well, be sure to join the live streams every Friday where we can kind of have a back and forth conversation with this, and I offer sound healing. And you're welcome to put in the comments what you would like sound healing for. And the way I view sound healing is alignment through sound. So tuning into your highest frequency, what you'd like to sustain, your resonant organ frequency, your resonant wellness frequency, and just playing from a real high source frequency at the 144th. So, all right, that's my commentary and banter on the debate of source. Is there one? Is there many? And let's keep the conversation going on this channel. And as always, what we're doing with this philosophy and remembering is just that we're coming back to our greatness. We're coming back to remembering more and more each moment. All right, beautiful being. Thanks for being here. Thanks for subscribing and clicking the bell so you know when the lives are. And if you ever need some mentoring, because this awakening and ascension journey can get a little cumbersome, confusing, and I'm here for you. I'd be happy to offer some mentoring. So be sure to take advantage in the descriptions of my free 30-minute mentoring call. All right. Namaste.